There comes a moment in life when the reality that you once knew starts to crumble. When everything that used to excite you, parties, achievements, validation from others, suddenly feels empty. You begin to ask questions that no one else around you seems to be asking themselves. Questions that pull you away from the life that you thought that you wanted. But instead of finding answers, you find silence. You find isolation, because the more that you awaken, the lonelier the journey seems to become. I know that feeling because I've lived it. For years, I sought out meaning in all of the wrong places. I chased success, attention, and status because I thought that that was the path of fulfillment. Because no matter how much I achieved and how much people knew my name, I felt more lost than ever. Awakening sometimes disconnects you from your environment because the shift that you need to make sometimes doesn't resonate with what's around you. This led me to a complete separation from my friends and a full-on breakdown. Until one day, life forced me to stop, to sit with the chaos inside of me, to see the version of myself that I had been running from. At my lowest point, I didn't know who I was anymore. My body was breaking down. My mind was clouded with anxiety, and my spirit was absent. And for the first time, I was forced to ask myself, who am I beyond who I was taught to be? Who am I when the masks fall away? And in that silence, something shifted. I realized that the path I was walking wasn't leading me anywhere, that the life I was chasing wasn't really mine. And if I wanted something different, I had to become someone different. And that's when I started to question everything. I started to explore meditation, spirituality, the power of presence, the hidden wisdom in ancient traditions. And slowly, I began to rebuild myself from the inside out. But the truth is, none of it was easy, because essentially, I was walking the path alone. Then I noticed that the more I studied and the more I practiced on my own, the more the desire arose within me to share it with others. I was an avid listener of podcasts because I felt that I was learning alongside other people in a whole community. And that's when the roughest time of the pandemic, when the university shut down and classes went fully online, that's when I made the clear decision to start my own podcast. I once dreamed of having conversations with the leaders that helped me wake up to a bigger reality. I knew that my hidden gift of curiosity was emerging and that it was the perfect time to do something with it. I immersed myself into learning how to curate a space that would empower and guide others to help in their own awakening. And at the same time, ask those deeper questions about the universe. I never thought that we would be where we've gotten today with this community, but in the beginning I followed my heart, and now I'm following it for something greater. No one tells you this about awakening. It's not just about the light. It's about facing your shadows. It's about facing the patterns that have been passed down from generations. It's about unlearning everything about yourself and the world around you. And if you try to do it alone, it can literally break you. And that's when I understood something that changed everything. Healing, transformation, and expansion were never meant to happen in isolation. Every great spiritual tradition, every great ancient wisdom keeper, every seeker before us, they knew this. They didn't walk the path alone. they walked it together. Because growth is amplified in a collective. Energy expands when shared. Healing is deeper when witnessed. And when you're surrounded by others that speak your language, that dream as big as you, who are as committed to their own evolution, your entire reality begins to change. That's why I created the Deep Dive, a space where seekers, healers, and visionaries come together. A space where you're not just consuming wisdom, but integrating it. Where you're not just listening to conversations, but you're stepping inside them. Where you're not walking this journey alone, but with a tribe that truly sees you. So now I want to invite you to open your heart and tap into a space where we'll dive deeper into what the Deep Dive is, what you can find inside of it, and why I believe this is the beginning of the evolution of this community. So now I want to invite you to close your eyes and put your hand over your heart. Take 3 of the deepest breaths that you've taken in today. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. There are no coincidences as to why you are here. If you've ever felt like you were meant for more, if you've been looking for a space where you truly belong, if you're ready not to just seek wisdom, but embody it, then you are in the right place. And now I will count backwards from 10. And when I reach 0, you will open your eyes, feeling more present than ever. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Welcome home. Beautiful family. We have arrived. We have arrived to this beautiful ceremony. This is one of the most beautiful moments that I've gotten the opportunity to be in, because this is our first ever live as a community. And right now I can tell you my heart is about to beat out of my chest. I am sweating. I am hot. I can feel all of you guys in the chat. This is one of the most incredible moments to be gathered here today because of technology, because of our desire to expand our consciousness and be together. And that video that we just showed was a labor of love, and really was about telling the story of us, and not only of myself, because I've walked this path and you guys got to witness me through this moment. And now we're here where we are today. When I was looking before this call, what would ancient history or ancient tribes do during a ceremony, and why we were bold enough to call this a ceremony in the first place, I realized that the ceremony really is about celebration. So this moment in history right now, even though we've gone through our ups, we've gone through our downs, it's a moment to celebrate ourselves, each other, come together as a tribe. And I'd love to reveal a little bit about what my team and I have been working on behind the scenes. The Deep Dive is a labor of love. It's a system of remembrance. It's something that I believe that will change the game for a lot of us. And when I thought, what would I want to leave behind for the future generations? And this word legacy has come through so strongly for me recently. This idea was birthed. So I'm going to take a few moments to share with you guys what my team, our beautiful team of facilitators, have been working on behind the scenes. and finally come together and share this with you. So, with that said, let's get into it. Just making sure that you can see the presentation. Give me one moment. Where is everyone from in the chat? I'm seeing all sorts of countries, all sorts of countries. Here we are. Just a moment. There we are. There we are. Excuse my technical difficulties, guys. This is our first live ever, so I appreciate all your patience with us. So, the deep dive. When the individual remembers, the collective awakens. Welcome to the remembrance. If you have all been waiting for a sign, there's something in our soul that remembers an ancient call. This ceremony, this moment in time, this is it. And as you guys witnessed in the video, when we start this journey, we're asking a lot of these deeper questions by ourselves until we find podcasts like these, until we find that maybe smaller groups that we can talk about this finally. But the thing is that your awakening started off as a quiet revolution with no one to witness it. And really, our intention today is to change that. So, first, I wanted to begin by revealing a little bit about this path that we've all been walking on. As you can see, a lot of this spiritual awakening begins with curiosity. We start reading books, we start listening to audiobooks, we start watching different podcasts, consuming content. And as we wake up with this new information, we start asking ourselves, why doesn't this feel like enough? Why do we feel that we need to keep going and consuming and getting more and more information? And even with that information, there are sudden moments where we feel inspiration. But those moments of inspiration are temporary highs. You know, we're looking at the world, we're saying, I feel awake, but where is everybody else? Why can't I share this in my friend group? Why can't I share this in my family? And we think that by over consuming this content, we're going to be able to come in to these circles and teach everyone what we've been learning. So we devour the content, the teachings, we get all the healings, and we come to the realization, you know, the more I learn, the more I can wake someone else up. But why do I keep learning and there feels like there's a disconnection? So we try to apply all the things that we're learning, the practices, but we're still struggling to connect the dot with that community. And we start asking ourselves why we feel so isolated. And I've walked this path just like many of you have. And just like this path, it ends in a soul exhaustion. It ends in craving something real, something alive, something authentic, something human. And we question ourselves, there has to be something more. So that leads us to a lot of the spiritual spaces that are built today. And a lot of them are built around content and information. So putting these teachings in front of you so that you can continue to devour more of this content. And a lot of them are also places where we can entertain these ideas, but there's not really a grounded structure to bring them together and bring them into our daily life, leading us to these temporary highs where we come out of a session, where we come out of a podcast, or we come out of something healing related to fix ourselves, and we feel this temporary high. But just like any high, we're going to hit that low eventually. So my team and I, we were thinking about what can this frequency that we've been collectively weaving together as a community, what can we offer to truly live in a new earth? And the new earth has been a popularized concept. And
I feel that, and as we've learned with many of the guests, this golden age that we're heading into is not something that we haven't been before. So if we want to bridge that new earth, we had to remember a new way of being. And this remembering leads us to systems, templates, structures, and blueprints that allowed us to be at that higher state of consciousness before. Think of Atlantis, think of Lemuria, think of those ancient civilizations that were able to reach those heights because of the level of consciousness they were able to hold. So if we were going to offer something different and new, we didn't have to go out and create anything different. We had to remember this new way of being, this way of being of our ancestors, of the lineages of light, of the bridgers of the dawn. And that's when this deep dive not only was birthed, but it emerged from within myself and my team, all of you that are here. This is something that we, in a way, midwife together into this new space. And I wanted to reveal a little bit about what this isn't and what it may become. This isn't another course or one-way conversation with no real embodiment. It's not a way for us to receive a teaching and then walk away a little bit confused on what to actually do with it. What we created and birthed and remembered was a living system that evolves as you evolve. It's a mirror of you. This isn't another spiritual Netflix or content library. Our goal isn't to offer more content. Actually, I was actually thinking the way that I want to approach this is to actually not offer as much content. And that's going to sound as a shock because you guys have seen us on the podcast. We're posting 2 interviews a week, 1 reel short a day. It's a lot. And I feel like that's not something that I wanted to augment the frequency in. But what we did want to offer was a sacred space for the real work, not just spiritual entertainment. Another thing that we've seen in other communities is these surface level group chats disguised as a community where you get put into these chats and everyone is going crazy. Everyone is excited in the beginning, but it doesn't last very long. So what we wanted was to actually cultivate an authentic community that understands the depth of who you are and mirrors your highest self. Or in simple terms, a living ecosystem to discover how to embody your soul's truth, connect with a coherent tribe, and activate your legacy. I'll go a little bit deeper on what this means later in this ceremony, but we're not here to walk the path alone any longer. We're not here to overconsume more content or losing ourselves in this overwhelm of spirituality. There's so much out there. What do I do with all of this information without a community? So I'd love to take a moment to break down how this space remembered itself, not through me, not through any individual person, but through all of us. What you're about to hear might change how you walk your spiritual path forever. But first, allow me to reintroduce myself. A lot of you have been in this community for a while now, and I feel like I haven't properly gotten the chance to tell you a little bit about my story. You might have heard it on other podcasts here and there, little segments of it, but I wanted to just to open the space on who am I. Over the last 5 years, I've had the honor of sitting down with some of the greatest, most beautiful hearts and minds and leaders that are shaping the new consciousness. These are mentors, teachers of mine, such as Dr. Joe Dispenza, Regina Meredith. And I feel emotion when I say these names because these are people that have really influenced so much of my journey. And I know for many of you as well. Robert Edward Grant, Pam Gregory, Matthias DeStefano, Lee Harris, and so many others. And together as a community, as a tribe, we have deep dived into the metaphysical, the mystical, the cosmic, the interdimensional, but most importantly, the deeply human. So you might be wondering, how did this kid who looks like he's 19 get here? And to start off, I'd like to say that my first year of college was very rough for me. I hit a rock bottom, um, too many nights out, not enough sleep, not going to class. Like many of us walk this journey when we first enter a new environment, a new space, and we're trying to figure out who we are. And instead, what I did when I first got into that college experience was to form an identity of myself that wasn't really me. So when I hit this rock bottom, I was fortunate enough to have an amazing mother and amazing spiritual guide for me who was able to open up her toolkit of meditation, breath work, recommending podcasts, interviews, books, you name it. She really just opened up this toolkit of the mystic that sent me down this journey of relentless pursuit of wisdom and knowledge. There were points where I was devouring, one or two books a day, and it was a lot because when you first get into this space, as I said before, there's just so much out there and we don't really know what to do with it. And the only thing that I could think of was to share it, to share the information. And in the beginning, I couldn't share it with the people closest to me. And that was difficult. And I know for a lot of us, we felt that way. What I decided to do was, when the pandemic hit, when there was a lockdown, I was back in Spain, in Madrid, where I was doing my studies. And I decided out of the blue to launch my own podcast in 2020. It was a difficult time because there wasn't a lot of human connection. There was just me, the person I was living with at the time, and a computer screen. And I had all this free time for myself. And as a 21-year-old kid, I started to ask those innocent but very big questions that we ask when we come across such a vast universe, multidimensional, that there's just so much to know. And that's really how it all started. And it wasn't easy at all for me. There was emptiness, there was loneliness, there was struggle, there was societal pressure. But on the other end of the spectrum, there was beauty. And there was a sacred journey of remembering who I was and who I've always been as a soul, not as a human identity living this experience. And I discovered something that many of us intuitively know, but we rarely say out loud. And that is that awakening was never meant to happen in isolation. And after all these podcasts, after all these interviews, after studying from so many people, I stumbled across an undeniable universal truth. And that is that we evolve deeper, faster, and more joyfully when we do it all together. So that is why the deep dive isn't just an idea, it's a sacred response to a soul level need. So, who was this container created for? Obviously, it's for the ones that are waking up, those that are doing all of this inner work, but there's still this longing for rhythm, for guidance, for raw, safe spaces to share. But it's also for the advanced practitioners, because in this container, it's for those that are ready to be seen, those who are ready to be seen in their gifts, in their talents, in this offering that they've had in their heart and they've been holding it in. It's actually for those who are ready for the world to recognize their value. It's also for a lot of you out there that feel yourself to be the visionaries. You came into this world knowing that you carry a template for humanity's future, whatever that looks like. But you know that you carry this structure and blueprint for what many of us have been calling the new earth, because we feel it in our veins. We feel it in everything that comes across. You get those goosebumps. Someone says something and you want to go out and do something about it. So you have this vision of what the future could be. We know it's not working. We know it's not working, but we know what could work based on what we've individually experienced in our life day to day and in those peak moments. But it's about making this a sustainable evolution. If all of this has been resonating, let me share what makes the deep dive unlike anything we've ever seen before. This is the first spiritual ecosystem designed not just to teach you more information or content, but to help you and guide you to remember who you are. And I place this photo of the lion because it takes bravery, it takes courage to remember who you are. And just as we're entering right now this gate of the Lion's Gate portal, the lion was just so fitting for us to use this as a symbol to what our life could become. A lion knows who he is or who she is in truth. And they go out and they're in nature and they walk as the king, the queen of their life. The way we design this is that every month you'll be guided through a sacred rhythm. So, as we said before, it's not about passive learning. This is about embodiment. We will give you these intentional structures that we're co-creating together as a community and cultivate real spaces to discover your soul's truth, or what I like to call your most authentic self. And just to step back for a moment, these cycles, these rhythms, they were clearly mapped out. And one day we were with my team, and it all came down to a pretty strong download for us because we realized that every week of the month had to represent a piece of the cycle. And the first rhythm is that remembrance. It's our North Star within this community. It's where you'll be able to reconnect with your soul's wisdom through transformational teachings, more on that later, and sound activations, more on that later. As we progress to week 2, it's all about activation. And activation is a word that, for me, what it really means is to bring what's in the higher frequencies and activate it in the 3D physical realm. So here we're embodying those frequencies through grounded practices and rhythms that allow you to integrate more easily and effortlessly, not coming out of a teaching or a transmission with a little bit of confusion, not knowing where to go. These are guided activations through this whole week, every single day of the week with our community. And then as that second week comes to a close, we come to the third week of contemplation. And in a way, this concept was gathered from my dear friend Richard Rudd, creator of the Gene Keys. He says that contemplation is a combination of concentration and meditation. It's very different, but when you mix those two together, imagine giving yourself that time to actually sit with what you've learned, contemplate, be with yourself, not go out and get these external noises that we usually find in the external world. Giving yourself the chance to deepen your understanding through reflection and community wisdom sharing. So this is the week where I'm most excited about because we get to gather as a community live, create these intimate spaces. And once we've contemplated for that whole week, we step into integration. We ground this growth into our daily life. We challenge ourselves as a community to integrate everything that we've been learning, everything that we've been walking together. It's not that you receive one thing on day 1 and you're expected to come out with a result on day 30 of that month. We're walking this journey as a community, and there will be a ceremony at the very end of every month to integrate everything, and it'll be guided and hosted. And I'm excited to host some of these ceremonies for you guys within the deep dive. And once that rhythm comes to a close, we begin again. It's the rebirth, the death cycle. We're beginning again in a cycle, sort of like that Ouroboros, the feathered serpent or the dragon that eats its own tail. It essentially comes back to where it started, but it doesn't come back to where it started the same as it was before. It comes back evolved and different. Something has changed within this serpent or dragon. So here's what lies in the veins of our monthly rhythm. In the beginning of every month, we will be releasing a monthly soul transmission, These are very high frequency uh, master classes, in a way we could call them. We've been trying to find a way to label them, but it's been very hard for us to do that because they're very different from the podcast itself. In the podcast, we try to cover 15, 20 different topics in an hour and a half, the time that we have with our guest. But here, these are deep dives. So one thing that I'll ask a special guest or a master teacher is, if you were to dedicate the rest of your life to teaching humanity just one thing, what would it be? And they tell me, they give me the topic, and I say, okay, perfect. Let's record a deep dive on this. We go for 2, maybe 3 hours on this one transmission. It's a living spiritual code. It's timeless. And that's why we provide it at the beginning of every month, a new one at the beginning of every month. Also, this is another beautiful part about the sound journeys that are guided by these master teachers or myself. And they take you, as the word says, journeys into the teaching itself. And we've been able to co-create a beautiful partnership with the Monroe Institute, which they're helping us create these meditations after 40 years of research in states of consciousness, expanded states of awareness, having experiences beyond your physical body. And they've honed in the technology behind that. And that is what we're embedding in these meditations within the deep dive. It's like nothing that I've experienced before. Also, they're all my favorite parts, but the sharing circles is really one of the most beautiful heart-led projects within the deep dive, because as some of you have seen, we offered a chance for some of you to join the team and join what we're creating. What we were creating was this behind the scenes. And we brought on these master, beautiful teachers and facilitators into the deep dive. And they're going to be leading throughout the month these live, very intimate sharing circles where we get to deepen together as a community on the topics of the transmissions, because these transmissions are coming through at a very high frequency, and being able to talk about them with other people, this for me was essential to include in the deep dive. And also, we'll be doing other types of community gatherings, not just the sharing circles, but we're going to be getting together in circle, meditating together. We're going to have social mixers so you can get to know who's within the community, make long-lasting friendships within here, soul relationships. Who knows, you might even find something that you end up loving for a very long time, or someone who is here to trigger something within you so that you can come out and evolve at a very faster rate. Also, as I mentioned before, these daily activations are a central piece within the deep dive, because one of my things that really started me on this path was a path of consistency and discipline. And the way that I was able to make meditation something that I can't miss any day was this discipline and structure, and knowing that every day I'm going in with an intention. I'm going in with a vision of what I want from this meditation, from this activation, whatever it is that I'm going to do every single day. So our team, the facilitators and myself, we are curating daily activations that might take anywhere from 5 minutes to 20, 30 minutes of your day. These could be cards that we show you that will spark remembrance of other lifetimes. These could be puzzles and riddles that help you activate your psychic perception. In a way, these activations will help us all make trackable progress in our evolution, because that's one of the things that I felt was missing from my spiritual path was, how do I actually know that I'm getting better? How do I feel that in my body? How does that look like on a day-to-day basis? What am I doing differently? So this is why the daily activations was one of those veins that runs through the deep dive. So at the core, the deep dive is about remembering who you already are: sovereign, wise, and deeply aligned with why you came here. As we all know, the new Earth systems are emerging more rapidly than ever right now. A lot of them are built on integrity, they're built on community, and they're built on a new level of consciousness. The deep dive is one of them. Also, I felt that when we were creating a system of remembrance, there needed to be pillars that were holding this in place. So the first pillar that my team and I have remembered was that embodiment factor. The factor of how do we bridge what we're learning into our body itself. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper on the pillars, but first, it's embodiment, community coherence, and legacy activation. So what I was mentioning with the embodiment, this is the daily practice of living your soul's truth. Think about the energetic rituals, guided sound journeys and activations, allowing your nervous system to come into coherence, taking aligned action. All of these are designed to ground a higher frequency into the physical world. It's not about becoming someone else, becoming that person that you admire outside of you. It's about becoming the vibration of your truth. That is embodiment for us. Next, we have the community coherence pillar. As we mentioned throughout this whole ceremony, we don't evolve alone in here. The deep dive is a field of energetic and vibrational resonance where your presence is amplified, not just seen or witnessed. As the community aligns on a vision for a more beautiful world, we enter in heart-brain coherence collectively. And just as my mentor, Dr. Joe Dispenza, says, when the flock is flying in one direction, everything in that flock has to be in coherence, because we're going to this certain new earth that we've all been visioning within our hearts. But now it's time to bring it to life and remember it, pull it in from the future. That's what we're doing as a community. Next, we have legacy. You guys know, or I've mentioned in other shows, how important this word is for me, legacy. But what does it actually mean? For me, legacy is when you remember who you are and live it to the fullest degree, what you leave behind for the next generations becomes your vibrational imprint. Think of the gurus, the masters, the ones that are no longer here physically with us. They left such a huge vibrational imprint and ripple into the field, the invisible field of consciousness, that their energy is still impacting generations to come. So you can have a figure in mind. I'm not going to say any specifics, but those are the ones that leave behind legacies. And we're here to help you activate, awaken, and embody your legacy, the one that you were meant to leave behind in your relationships, in your family, in your creations, and allow this to be a vibrational ripple through time and space. Some of the things that may awaken within you as we journey together in the deep dive is first a call to your soul's truth. If you allow it, of course, if you allow it. This is the field from where your most authentic self emerges. I equate soul's truth with authenticity. When you're your most authentic self, you're actually calling in your soul's truth, not your identity, not the ego structures that you've put and labeled on yourself. You get to the core of who you are. This may awaken that within you. As we've said before, awakening and embodying these higher frequencies where we bridge the fifth dimension into the third dimension. Also, this is a collective evolution because the field of the community is a mirror to you and it's a field of resonance. It actually brings out who you are becoming even faster. Again, legacy activation. You'll begin to start watering these seeds that you're planting for the future. And many of you have already thought about, what do I want to leave behind? This will allow you to water those with other people and encourage each other to leave behind something beautiful, something great, something that your grandchildren's grandchildren will look and be like, oh, this is where our lineage comes from. This is very special. This is very special. And finally, living this new paradigm, being a pioneer to the systems that are emerging of the new earth that we've all been waiting for, but the time to wait is no longer here. We're calling it in. We're calling it in together. And these are just some of the things that might awaken, and they're already super dormant in a lot of us. And I found that working and creating and birthing this project, I feel like I'm pregnant at this point and I'm giving birth at this time. And these are just some of the things that have been awakening in myself and in some of our facilitators, in our team. So I just wanted to mention that briefly for a moment. And essentially, we did build a system. We built a system that is designed to help you to move from remembering and knowing to becoming and remembering, from knowing intellectually in your head to becoming it and living it from your heart. But also, there's still one belief that holds most people back, and that is, I don't know if I'm ready for this amount of growth, evolution, transformation. And the only thing that I'd like to mention on for that is it's not about being ready, because all these pillars, embodiment, community coherence, and legacy, they're not a matter of timing. Oh, when I'm ready, they'll come to me. They'll appear into my reality. They're actually appearing into your reality right now. And they're a matter of choice. As we mentioned, we're at a global tipping point, and every single guest that comes on the podcast is saying this. We're at a tipping point. We're at a split. Whatever verbiage you want to use, there's something shifting in consciousness. And because it's shifting in consciousness, it's shifting in the outer world itself. So we're coming from these old systems that are collapsing, separation consciousness, me versus them, fear-based structures, being obsessed with all things material, and being disconnected with our spirit, our soul's truth, our most authentic self, because we believe that we need to put on a mask for the world to accept us. But the new paradigms that are emerging right now are based on unity consciousness, love-based co-creation, soul-aligned living, and finally, community coherence. This is our calling to be part of something greater than ourselves. You're not early. You're not late. You're right on time. So if you say yes to this beautiful invitation, within the next 48 hours, you officially become part of the founding frequency of the deep dive. So what that means is there are going to be founding members that, the way that we wanted to approach this is we wanted to, in a way, acknowledge and hold space for those that believed in us in the beginning, believed in this movement, believed in this system, this living system of remembrance. So becoming a founding member means that you receive this legacy status that recognizes you permanently in the community as a foundational pillar to what we're remembering together. It also gives you early access to the new features that we're going to be rolling out. And the most exciting part is these future in-person events that I'm very, very excited to reveal when the time is right. So who is this invitation for? This is for the souls who feel the inner call to remember and embody, not just to consume more information. This is for those who are ready to show up, to share, to practice, to be witnessed and held in a community. It's for those that are open to feedback, to growth, and to sacred challenge. And we said sacred challenge because challenge might have, as a word, a connotation that is negative, like, oh, this was such a challenging experience. But every challenge that is sent our way is sacred. And we're going to make sure that as a tribe, we're pushing each other. We're finding out things about ourselves that, because we challenged ourselves and we got outside of the comfort zone, just like I'm doing right now in this live with you guys, we discover something about ourselves that we didn't know before. It's also for those beings that are willing to walk, as I said, through discomfort, through the unknown, and not bypass it. A lot of the times the unknown comes into our life and we turn the other way. We're like, no, you turn. Like we're going the other way. We're not ready to face that discomfort. But here, it's about looking at the discomfort and the unknown at the face value. And instead of taking the U-turn, we're walking directly forward. But we're not walking directly forward alone. That's the thing about the deep dive that is beautiful, is that we're walking this path of the unknown together. It's also for leaders who want to co-create, not just to extract from other people. Let me get this out of you so I can, in a way, bring out more of myself and establish more of myself in the world. It's about co-creation and weaving a tapestry of wisdom, of new projects together. So if your head has at any point been nodding throughout this ceremony, throughout this transmission, and most importantly, your heart has been pulsating as mine, when I pressed live on this ceremony, I literally felt a heat wave and my heart was just pounding out of my chest. And also, if your soul has felt at any moment that it has arrived, one thing I'll say is myself, my team, and our beautiful facilitators have officially opened the doors to our new home. So we invite you to walk through that door, to step through into the deep dive. This is just a sneak peek of what the platform looks like in the back end, but it is a labor of love. It is something that we have been dreaming of for months now. And if you could feel into it, we have created a space that we would have loved to have at any point in our spiritual awakening. But I want to tell you guys a quick story. When I had a guest on the podcast recently, and they looked me in the eyes through the screen, but I felt that they were looking into my soul. And they said, are you all right? Are you comfortable with just sitting back and reporting on the shift and reporting on the shift of consciousness? Or are you actually going to be one of the pillars that allows the new earth to be built and remembered through you as a node of a collective network of others that I felt this call? And my response to that, and when I went to my team with that question, this came through. And this is one of those things that I believe will be a legacy for a lot of us, for myself, for everyone that has been a part of this. We're not calling people members in this community, we're calling them rememberers, because this is what it's about as our North Star, is to remember our soul's truth, remember why we came here, remember how we're here to serve. And you might be wondering, okay, I want to join. I'm here for it. If you feel that resonance in your heart, I'll invite you to, no longer let your tribe wait for you. By scanning the following QR code on the screen, you'll immediately be directed into a link that will allow you to enter the deep dive. You'll be able to create your profile, announce yourself to the community, who you are, what you're about, what you're here to bring through, how you're here to serve. And we will all respond with love, telling you guys that we are here to make that dream and make everything that you've always wanted to bring through to this physical world a reality. So my team right now is probably bombarding the comments with a link, or you can also go into the QR code and just welcome you to this remembrance, welcome you to this living ecosystem that is already changing lives. And just for a moment, I want to actually go into the chat, because I haven't seen anything. I've only been seeing this screen, but I want to feel all of you for a moment. So I'm just going to take a moment to be with all of you. Wow, this is, wow. Wow. I've also been crying all morning, thinking about this ceremony and how we're gathered here. I don't know. I'm an emotional being, but this has been something that deserve those tears of triumph, of joy. There has been so much love that has been poured into this project. And we were working with my team last night, and my mom came in, and one of the things that you'll see within the deep dive is we created a sacred sigil and a symbol to represent the deep dive. And my mom told me to send her the symbol via email, because it really impacted her when she saw it. But we were all working together, and she's like, "Do you guys want anything to drink? A coffee, a tea, whatever you want?" And we're like, "Yeah, yeah, for sure." Like we had been, um, laboring and putting in a lot of love to get ready for this ceremony. And she comes up with this cup, and she gave it to each one of us, and it is the symbol of the deep dive, which we'll explain a little bit more about it within the platform itself. But just for you guys to sit with the symbol, sit with what it may arise or awaken within you. And I also have some cacao in here, which I'll drink because my throat has been dry. I don't think you guys have ever seen me talk this much. So thank you guys for witnessing and being present here with us today. The video that we played in the beginning, we filmed that back in February, and my team became directors, they became producers, they became videographers. That is the beauty of when you're bringing out something into the world. You take on so many different hats, and I just have to shout them out. And to the beautiful videographers that produced that video, you'll be able to get that video whenever you want. If it spoke to you, if it awakened something within you, if it highlighted something in your journey that you felt was part of your story, you'll be able to find that inside of the deep dive as well. And really, to wrap it all up, and I'm seeing the chat now. I wasn't seeing it before, and this is very overwhelming. So my team has pinned the link inside of the chat, or you can also directly take out your camera on your phone and scan the QR code that is directly on the screen right now. And it will take you, it might take a second to load because there are a lot of us right now trying to get in. So if it takes a few seconds, maybe a minute or so, just be patient with it. It'll load eventually. It's just that I know that a lot of us are wanting to be a part of this, and we really created this for you and for ourselves as well. It might sound selfish, but I just felt that in the podcast as well. And I'll just say as a caveat, nothing is happening to the podcast. The podcast will stay twice a week, Tuesdays and Saturdays. That's not going anywhere at all. But this feels very different to what the podcast is about. And since I've been doing the podcast for so long, I felt like personally I needed to shake a little bit and stretch myself. We talked about the discomfort, and it just feels very different. And we got that beautiful feedback from our facilitators, which you'll meet within the platform, within the deep dive. And it feels like a living spiritual code and transmission that is getting imprinted in the field. And we as a community are holding that code together and bringing it down to earth. And I get to go deeper than I've ever digged before. I think you guys might know how I love to go deep in these questions, and the deep dive transmissions are something else on its own. You'll have to experience them for yourself at any moment. Of course, the invitation is always open. This isn't the only time that you're going to be able to join. But as we said, we're honoring and acknowledging the founding frequency, the ones that are here with us from the beginning, from the very first day, from the opening ceremony tribe, which I'm looking, there are almost 3,000 of you. And I don't think my brain can fathom what that actually means. 3,000 of us gather here today. But I'll end with inviting you to close your eyes and putting your hand over your heart, feeling the field, feeling the frequency, tuning into the breath together, taking in an inhale in through the nose, holding at the top, and exhaling out the mouth. This is just a moment for us to ground in the energy and the frequency that we've experienced together today. I will have to wash this sweatshirt immediately because it feels like I just went into a pool and am drenched with the heat and the energy that I'm feeling from you guys. So finally, with gratitude, with love, with honor for each and every one of you for walking this path together with us. You are amazing. I think words are not enough to describe what I feel. Actually seeing the names up on screen, because I normally don't really get to interact with you guys in this way. And I'm feeling that we'll need a lot more lives together. We will do a lot of lives inside the deep dive as well. But for all of us to make this accessible, this energy, this frequency, I'm sending all of you so much love, so much light, and so much just guidance on your path. And may you find that whatever path you choose for yourself, you will find the tribe that is waiting for you on the other side of it. We all deserve to be in a community. We all deserve to be in a space. We're all worthy of love. We're all worthy to receive the love that we give out. So with that, I will see you guys inside of the deep dive. This video will be up forever on my YouTube channel. And we hope to say hello to all of you very, very soon. So much love.